A fun way to say Happy Mother's Day for mom in a card is to write Happy Mother's Day and play with the word pea. I don't know, did you ever hear the expression they're like two peas in a pod? Comes from a pea pod. So you're going to make a Happy Mother's Day card. I don't know what your situation is with colored paper, but I don't have any. So I went around and in a newspaper, I found that this one had some green background, so I could use that for my peas. I took a magic marker in green and colored some paper green to use. I looked in my kitchen for packaging that had green, and this applesauce container cardboard has green. I even have a green leaf if I want to use that for my picture. Or you could just draw your picture and not cut it out. But I'm going to try using these. So I'm going to start with my pea pod. I'm going to turn this over to the back. I'm going to turn this like this. So the green that I colored is on this side. So that's my green paper. I'm going to make a big smile. And then I'm going to go back over. Kind of like a boat. Double it up. Better to do this in pencil. But you're going to get something like that. My pea pod. I'm going to cut that out. So I have that. Then I think I'm going to use my Mott's applesauce box for my peas. I'm trying to get to the part that just has the green. I don't mind the yellow either. Some yellow on the peas would be nice. Or some words are okay too. It's a collage. And I'm going to cut that into a square. There's my green. Cut my green square into a circle by cutting the corners. Pea. 2 peas. Peas. Could make as many peas there are in your family in your pea pod. So if you got 3 people in your family, you might want to do 3 peas, or you could just do you and your mom. So I could have used this green newspaper for my peas, or the green paper for my pea pod. And then I took a piece of paper and I have to fold across the top so it's hard. I could draw a little face on each pea if I have a Sharpie. I'm going to plan how I want it to look. I want the peas, I want the pod to overlap the peas, so I'm going to glue on the peas first. There's lots of ways to figure out what kind of art materials you can work with when you don't have any art materials. You don't have to cut it out of colored paper. If you don't have colored paper, you could make colored paper. If you don't have glue, you could use flour and water. Or, I'm going to show you next how you could just draw this picture. So there are my peas in the pod. And you can leave it just like that. You could have a little heart. You could add a little twist to your pea pod. You could outline it. You could color that part in. It's up to you how fancy you want it to get. And then you should write, and make sure you put it in quotes because you're not really spelling it right. Ha dash P, like peas that you eat, Mother's Day. Okay. One way you could make your Happy Mother's Day card. In slide number 10, there's a photograph of one of my students from years ago who did this card and a pea pod flower right next to that. So the only thing they used is some green construction paper here and there. But you don't need to use any construction paper. You could just draw that. So instead of cutting anything out, and you should start in pencil, you could just make the pea pad, add the peas. You could put it on a vine. With some pea pad flowers. Just simplify it. Give them all smiles and eyes and whatever you want to give them. Maybe their smiles don't show. This guy looks a little bothered. Here we go. Each pea could be a member of your family if you wanted. Like if someone in your family wears glasses, maybe the pea could be wearing glasses. And then write Happy Mother's Day and color it in. Here's a little bit more complicated way to do some peas in a pea pod. Is to start with the leaves. And then the leaf is up and down, so it's growing in the garden and nobody picked it yet. And then from here, I'm gonna make a bump and a bump and a smaller bump. Then on the opposite side, I'm going to follow the bump, taper it in. Then I'm going to follow it. And on this side, I made that kind of one side thick. On the other side, I'm going to go thinner, closer, following it. So there's the pod on the vine, and then the peas peeking through in each little bump. So I'm not doing a whole circle, a semicircle. So there are the peas in the pod. And then they can have faces. So many ways you could make cartoon faces on them. pair of glasses. Maybe he's got his sunglasses on. Because he can only wear shades. That's a little more complicated, but I bet you could try. And you could add some flowers, add some vines, and then make sure to write Happy Mother's Day. And if you want to add color, you could use crayon, you could use marker. I showed this in a few videos, but if you didn't get to see it yet, if you don't have any paint and you take some tin foil and color on the tin foil with marker, get a good amount of color down, and then get the marker wet. If you don't have a paintbrush, you could use a Q-tip, and you've got paint out of marker that you could use to paint in your picture. And you know, the more water you use, the lighter the color will be, and the less water you use, the more you move around in the marker, the darker the color will be. So you could have some different shades of green. So there you go. So you could wish your mom Happy Mother's Day.